My friends, the American public and the American newspapers are certainly creatures of habit. This is one of the warmest evenings that I have ever felt in Washington, D.C., and yet this talk tonight will be referred to as a fireside talk. Our government, happily, is a democracy. As part of the democratic process, your president is again taking an opportunity to report on the progress of national affairs, to report to the real rulers of this country, the voting public. The 75th Congress, elected in November 1936 on a platform uncompromisingly liberal, has adjourned. Barring unforeseen events, there will be no session until the new Congress, to be elected in November, assembles next January. On the one hand, the 75th Congress has left many things undone. For example, it refused to provide more business-like machinery for running the executive branch of the government. The Congress also failed to meet my suggestion that it take the far-reaching steps necessary to put the railroads of the country back on their feet. But on the other hand, the Congress, striving to carry out the platform on which most of them were elected, achieved more for the future good of the country than any Congress did between the end of the World War and the spring of 1933. I mention tonight only the more important of these achievements. The Congress improved still further our agricultural laws to give the farmer a fairer share of the national income, to preserve our soil, to provide an all-weather granary, to help the farm tenant towards independence, to find new uses for farm products, and to begin crop insurance. After many requests on my part, the Congress passed a Fair Labor Standards Act, what we call the Wages and Hours Bill. That act, applying to products in interstate commerce, ends child labor, sets a floor below wages, and a ceiling over the hours of labor. Except perhaps for the Social Security Act, it is the most far-reaching program, the most far-sighted program for the benefit of workers that has ever been adopted, here or in any other country. Without question, it starts us towards a better standard of living and increases purchasing power to buy the products of farm and of factory. Do not let any calamity-howling executive with an income of $1,000 a day, who has been turning his employees over to the government relief rolls in order to preserve his company's undistributed reserves, tell you, using his stockholders' money to pay the postage for his personal opinions, tell you that a wage of $11 a week is going to have a disastrous effect on all American industry. Fortunately for business as a whole, and therefore fortunately for the nation, that type of executive is a rarity with whom most business executives most heartily disagree. The Congress has provided a fact-finding commission to find a path through the jungle of contradictory theories about the wise business practices, to find the necessary facts for any intelligent legislation on monopoly, on price fixing, and on the relationship between big business and medium-sized business and little business. Different from a great part of the world, we in America persist in our belief in individual enterprise and in the profit motive. But we realize we must continually seek improved practices to ensure the continuance of reasonable profits, together with scientific progress, individual initiative, opportunities for the little fellow, fair prices, decent wages, and continuing employment. The Congress has coordinated the supervision of commercial aviation and airmail by establishing a new civil aeronautics authority, and it has placed all postmasters under the civil service for the first time in our national history. The Congress has set up the United States Housing Authority to help finance large-scale slum clearance and provide low-rent housing for the low-income groups in our cities. And by improving the Federal Housing Act, the Congress has made it easier for private capital to build modest homes and low-rental dwellings. The Congress has properly reduced taxes on small corporate enterprises and has made it easier for the Reconstruction Finance Corporation to make credit available to all business. I think the bankers of the country can fairly be expected to participate in loans where the government, through the RFC, offers to take a fair portion of the risk. So too, the Congress has provided additional funds for the Works Progress Administration, the Public Works Administration, the Rural Electrification Administration, the Civilian Conservation Corps, and other agencies, in order to take care of what we hope is a temporary additional number of unemployed at this time, and to encourage production of every kind by private enterprise. All of these things together I call our program for the national defense of our economic system. It is a program of balanced action, of moving on all fronts at once in intelligent recognition that all of our economic problems of every group and of every section of the country are essentially one problem. Finally, because of increasing armaments in other nations and an international situation which is definitely disturbing to all of us, the Congress has authorized important additions to the national armed defense of our shores and our people. On one other important subject, the net result of a struggle in the Congress has been an important victory for the people of the United States, what might well be called a lost battle which won a war. You will remember that a year and a half ago, nearly, on February 5th, 1937, I sent a message to the Congress dealing with the real needs of federal court reforms of several kinds. In one way or another, during the sessions of this Congress, the ends I spoke of, the real objectives sought in that message, have been substantially attained. The attitude of the Supreme Court towards constitutional questions is entirely changed. Its recent decisions are eloquent testimony of a willingness to collaborate with the two other branches of government to make democracy work. The government has been granted the right to protect its interests in litigation between private parties when the constitutionality of federal statutes is involved, and to appeal directly to the Supreme Court in all cases involving the constitutionality of federal statutes. And no single judge is any longer empowered to suspend a federal statute on his sole judgment as to its constitutionality.